Thanks for tuning in to Local News Live, a production of AOC Community Media in partnership with the Acadiana Advocate, our source of local news and journalism here in the Acadiana area and all around the state of Louisiana. We are pleased to bring you this community service, reading you the printed news every Monday through Friday between the hours of 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. And of course, we could not do it without the generous volunteer efforts of our news readers, people like the wonderful Mr. Bruce Cohen, who joins us this Friday morning. Good morning, Bruce.
Well, good morning to you, Mr. Matt, my tech man at the helm.
I'm so glad you were able to join us to read this morning, and I will go and enjoy your melodious voice reading us the news this Friday morning.
Well, thank you, my friend. You know, it's a real pleasure to be here, and good morning, Acadiana. Welcome to October 23rd, 2020. It's a Friday, TGIF, for those who believe in that. This is Local News Live, a service that we bring you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. First story out of the chute this morning, attorney calls council threat extortion. Lafayette City Parish lawyer amends suit by Claire Taylor staff writer. The day after the Lafayette City Council threatened to report City Parish Attorney Greg Logan to the State Bar Association for a conflict of interest, he amended a lawsuit he filed seeking to remove a special attorney the council hired to represent itself during conflicts with the parish council and mayor president. The amendment filed Wednesday by the Newer Pate law firm and Logan asked the court to require the special counsel, Leanne Batston of Baton Rouge, to pay damages, including attorney fees, and repay any money she receives from the city. Batson has not paid, City Parish Finance Director Lori Toop said Thursday. Logan city believes the parish's home rule charter grants him sole authority to hire attorneys, and the hiring of Batson usurps his authority. The lawsuit asks that she appears in court to show by what she means is legally appointed to represent the City Council. City Council Chairman Pat Lewis said Thursday the council will weigh its options on what action to take in light of Logan's most recent move. Most City Council members said they believe it is a conflict of interest for Logan to represent the City Council, Parish Council, and Mayor President when there is a disagreement among two or three of them. On Tuesday, the City Council adopted a resolution encouraging Logan to withdraw the city as a plaintiff in the lawsuit. The resolution included a rundown of the Louisiana Bar Association's definition of conflicts of interest and authorized Lewis to file a complaint against Logan with several attorney disciplinary boards. Councilwoman Nanette Cook said Wednesday if Logan did one more thing, the council may file the complaint. Logan fired back Thursday in a statement to the Acadiana Advocate, writing that he is concerned that one or more of these council members may not fully appreciate that publicly threatening to file a bar complaint against me for doing my sworn duty as city parish attorney could be construed as an act of extortion. The City Council on September 11th hired Batson to represent it in matters involving the budget and conflicts with the Parish Council and the Mayor President, who has the authority under the Home Rule Charter to vote on spending city tax dollars. The Council is unhappy with advice by Assistant City Parish Attorney Paul Escott and Logan during budget hearings this summer that favored the Parish Council and Mayor President Josh Guillory. Voters amended the charter in 2018, creating separate city and parish councils that was seated in January, in part to give the City Council more control over how city taxes are spent. Under the previous combined City Parish Council, council members who represented districts with few city residents had the same vote over spending city funds as council members whose districts were primarily composed of city residents. Logan and the City Council are interpreting a passage in the Home Rule Charter differently. Section 4-03E states no special legal counsel should be retained by the City of Lafayette, the Parish of Lafayette, and/or the city parish government, except by written contract for a specific purpose approved by the favorable vote of a majority of the authorized membership of the City Council, and in accordance with pertinent provisions of this charter, including but not limited to sections 1 through 6, 2 through 01, and 2 through 11. Lewis again asserted Wednesday that the charter gives the council the authority to hire a special attorney and the city will pay for it. Logan represents the city and the parish, and he represents administration. He said, there will be no conflict. Who are we going to get advice from? That's why the city council hired Batson, who specializes in government legal matters, Lewis said. I understand and respect that some council members have strong feelings on this matter, and they want to believe they have the right to take the action they have, Logan wrote Thursday. I am not sure they quite understand that I have sworn an oath to uphold the laws of the state of Louisiana and have a duty to the Home Rule Charter of the Lafayette Consolidated Government. While they may feel that they are right, this legal action is necessary to authoritatively determine whether their feelings have any basis in law. By this action, asking for a judge to rule, I am hereby faithfully fulfilling my duty and obligation to the law and the charter. In other local news, complaints filed against Alderman, Crowley official accused of making threatening gesture at police brutality protesters by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. Activists with the Village 337 filed police complaints against Crowley Alderman and Lyle Folkman on Thursday after video shows Folkman sliding his finger across his throat in a gesture to protesters at a Tuesday meeting. The Lafayette-based community organization was protesting possible police brutality during the arrest of Edward Troy Yoakum Jr., who was arrested on counts of domestic abuse, aggravated assault, domestic abuse with child endangerment, and a bench warrant on October 11th, according to online jail records. In his booking photo, Yoakum is seen with a swollen right eye and lip, 3 staples over a gash in his chin, and bruising and injuries across his right cheek. Devin Norman, a leader with the Village 337, said members wanted transparency about Yoakum's injuries and an investigation into the incident, and were concerned that Yoakum's mother had been unable to contact her son for a multi-day period within the past week. Norman said while the arrest was conducted by the Acadia Parish Sheriff's Office, the incident occurred in Crowley, and they wanted to draw city council members and other city officials' attention to the incident and assure they're involved and aware. Activists sat in the council chambers during proceedings and chanted with signs. When the meeting concluded, Folkman exited the council chambers, and as he passed protesters in the foyer, he took his pointer finger and quickly pulled it across his throat, then proceeded downstairs with other council members and staff. A video of the incident shared on Folkman said in a phone interview the motion wasn't intended as a threat of violence. A special council meeting was an attempt to pass the city budget. The council failed to meet its August 31st deadline, and the overdue budget had placed the city in a position of financial strain heightened by Hurricanes Laura and Delta. The Alderman described the meeting as contentious, and Folkman personally had heated moments with Alderman Vernon Martin that were quelled by Crowley Police Chief Jimmy Broussard. He said the tension and difficulty was compounded by the presence of the protesters, whose chanting made it difficult to conduct business and hear during the council vote. At this point, I had had enough. I had argued with Mr. Martin. I wasn't pleased with what was being pulled with some council members. I get up, I'm done, I've had it, I want out of here. And the protesters had left the room and were standing outside. When I walk out the door, they're yelling, they're shouting, they're waving their banners, and the gesture I made was purely meant as enough people go home, enough, he said. That wasn't how the motion was perceived by Desiree Cormier, a protester who said she felt personally singled out by Folkman or other activists present. Cormier said that Folkman deliberately stepped toward the group, looked her in the eye, and made the cutthroat gesture when he could have passed without action like the other council members present. The Lafayette resident said Fogelman's action was bewildering and unbecoming of a city representative. She said she was also unimpressed by his lack of willingness to address his behavior in the days following. Even if he says he didn't mean it as an aggressive manner, he meant he was done hearing what he had to say, and he wanted us to be quiet. Privilege in that white aggression alone is too damn much. We're not there talking to him, but he needs to hear it. He doesn't want to hear what we have to say, so we have to shut up, Cormier said. Cormier said she initially contacted Crowley City government to discuss a complaint against Fogelman, and staff directed her to the city police department. On Thursday afternoon, about 10 protesters present at Tuesday's meeting appeared to file individual complaints against Fogelman. Cormier says she hopes Fogelman is at least reprimanded or disciplined for his behavior. Norman and others said they've received death threats in the past related to their activism, and it's important every potential threat is taken seriously and addressed, especially when connected to a local elected official. He's supposed to be representing the city. What's he doing as representative of the city of Crowley, Cormier said. The alderman said he did not intentionally look at Cormier or any one protester while making the gesture. Fogelman said Thursday he had no plans to reconcile with the group. He said things may have been different had protesters reached out directly to address the incident and had a dialogue, but now he doesn't have anything to say to any of them. He said he feels the accusations are meritless and his gesture is being blown out of proportion, possibly for notoriety. You can't tell me what my intent was. I know what my intent was. I know what I intended. I'm the one that did it, and I know why I did it, Fogelman said. One of the people who filed a complaint Thursday was Yoakum's mother. In a statement to media outlets Thursday, Acadia Sheriff K.P. Gibson said Yoakum sustained his injuries after falling to the ground and striking the pavement when he was shocked with a stun gun by a sheriff's deputy. Gibson said Yoakum was taken to a local hospital, given medical treatment, and cleared before he was booked into the parish jail. The sheriff said an internal review from Yoakum was inside a vehicle past Hurricane Delta curfew in an area where deputies were responding to a shots fired call. When his vehicle was stopped, Yoakum was observed placing an unknown object under the passenger seat. A search of the vehicle found a gun under the seat and drugs in another area of the vehicle, Gibson said. The sheriff said deputies determined Yoakum had active warrants and he resisted, then fled when deputies attempted to take him into custody. Yoakum was pursued in order to stop, shocked with a stun gun when he did not, and handcuffed after a brief struggle, the statement said. My review of this matter shows that the deputies on scene followed policy and handled themselves properly, Gibson said in the release. Gibson said it's the department's policy to review arrests that result in injuries requiring medical attention. The sheriff said he and other staff did not receive a complaint or hear concerns about Yoakum's arrest prior to Tuesday's protest. Norman was skeptical about the timing of Gibson's release, aligning with protester noise around the arrest and the group's complaints against Fogelman. He also challenged Gibson's assertion that contact was not made prior to Tuesday and said he had seen emails from Yoakum's family to the sheriff. He said he wasn't satisfied with an internal review because it's unrealistic to expect law enforcement to police themselves, and hoped for improved transparency around Yoakum's injuries and other law enforcement dealings. Even if the use of a stun gun against Yoakum can be justified under department policy, Norman said use of force needs to be more seriously considered and judiciously used. We've become so desensitized to police murdering people that we've begun to think that's the only thing that's unacceptable, Norman said. Okay, let's take a little bit of a break and go to our public service announcements for today. The Festival Awards, the Virtual Festival Awards 2020 is happening November 6th and 7th this year. The Festival Award celebrates authors, celebrates another year with 3 amazing authors and 2 days of memorable events. The festival will take place Friday and Saturday, November 6th and 7th, virtually. This year includes nationally recognized authors, Louisiana Poet Laureate John Warner Smith, poet Erica Mittner, and graphic memorist Robin Ha. Festival events include creative writing workshops for students in the community, a presentation by John Warner Smith and Erica Mittner and Robin Ha, reads from her work graphic memoir, Almost American Girl. On Saturday, a drive-by performance from the Magnet Academy of Cultural Arts in Opelousas will recite works by the featured authors. There will be an open mic and multiple creative writing workshops, which are open to the public. For more information, please check out their website, festivalwords.org, or you can contact Executive Director Martha Garner at 337-804-2482 or email at fowmartha, M-A-R-T-H-A, @gmail.com. Okay, getting back into the news. Realtor Hammy Davis dies. Longtime agent, ex-attorney, also active in the community by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. R. Hamilton Hammy Davis, a longtime commercial and real estate agent and former attorney who was active in the community, died Thursday at his home after a battle with brain cancer. Davis, who along with two others started Scout Real Estate in Lafayette, was a dean of sorts among commercial real estate agents in the area. He spent years as an attorney after graduating from LSU and Tulane law schools before switching to real estate. Considered an expert on the real estate industry, Davis spent years with Coldwell Banker and was named the top commercial agent for 10 years. From 2002 to 2016, he was awarded the Coldwell Banker Gold Circle of Distinction and the International President's Elite Award. He was involved in the Acadiana Food Hub, United Way of Acadiana, Lafayette Education Board, Rain State Bank, and Catholic Charities of Acadiana. Rex Moreau, a commercial sales and leasing agent with Scout, said it was Davis who convinced him to pursue real estate as a career and joined the company after a lunch meeting in 2011. Moreau said Davis filled the void left by his father, who was Davis's law partner, after his death in 1993 when Moreau was only 16. Up until his death, Moreau said, Davis was still teaching me how to live as he was dying. I told his son the other day I'll never adequately be able to put into words what Hammy meant to me, Moreau said. Maybe one day I'll try. He was really the greatest man I've ever known on so many levels. He really had a grasp of the industry like I've never seen. Hammy was really on the next level. He was also an extraordinary teacher. Davis played a big role in establishing the Acadiana Food Hub. Director Zach McMath said, the two worked together to build a space and establish a place where businesses looking to launch a restaurant idea can set up, but also serves as an agency that improves the health of local residents with healthy and affordable food. The Food Hub opened in a space on North University Ave in a building Davis owns. We would not have the Food Hub without Hammy Davis, McMath said. He had the vision. Hammy has been in the business for a long time. I consider him a family friend. They had space available, did the build out, and did the kitchen. It was something the city wouldn't do and the nonprofits couldn't do. He understood the vision, and to some degree, he always has. The plan for federal school funds okayed, money dedicated to technology capital projects at Southside High by Katie Gagliano, staff writer. The Lafayette Parish School Board settled on a spending plan for the remaining U.S. Department of Agriculture funds dedicated to Southside High, funding a handful of technology purchases and capital projects at the school after a year of back and forth and scrapped portable building plans. On October 14th, the school board voted 5-3 to approve spending $514,808 of the remaining $563,144 in federal funds on an outdoor area to accommodate students at lunch, Chromebooks and laptops, graphing calculators, and electrical work, with the remainder set aside as contingency funds. The funds are left over from a $78 million Rural Development Community Facilities direct loan secured by the school system to fund construction of the school, according to the USDA release. The federal loan funds can only be spent on capital expenses related to the high school and may be used by August 2021, after which they'll be unavailable. Board members Donald Aguilar, Tommy Angel, Brent Latchley, Hannah Smith Mason, and Mary Morrison voted for the proposal, while Elroy Broussard, Justin Zantani, and Timmy Chasson voted against. Board member Caleb Boo was absent. Zantani proposed removing the outdoor canopy and outdoor seating project, interested in other ways to improve seating options at lunchtime, but that motion failed in a 4-3 vote. Aguilar, who represents District 9, and said he appreciated how well Southside Principal Catherine Cassidy and the Superintendent Irma Troska worked together to analyze the school's needs and put forward a plan. Aguilar has worked to advance proposals for use of the Southside funds since joining the board in January. It's a relief having a firm plan in place after more than a year back and forth, he said. It feels good knowing that the board is definitely concerned about using the money wisely, and some of the previous attempts and recommendations for spending the money didn't meet that level of muster for all board members. Shifting gears and identifying a number of worthy projects was very, very good for Southside and the children who attend the school, he said. The October 14th vote was important because the time window to use the funds is closing. The August 1st deadline encompasses all aspects of the project, getting USDA approval, bidding the projects, bid selection, construction of the canopy, and submitting invoices to the USDA. So it's imperative that the school system works quickly to advance the projects, Aguilar said. How and when to spend the USDA funds has been significantly debated over the past 2 years. Initially, the board planned to install 6 used portable buildings on the campus as a precaution to avoid overcrowding and strain on existing core facilities as the campus continues to grow. As of October 5th, 1,810 students were enrolled at the campus. That idea was amended after the school board rejected the low bid to move and install the Butler buildings on October 2019, which would have required $260,000 in additional board funds, and faced opposition from the Youngsville City Council, which rejected the board's request for variances on the city laws and about older manufactured buildings. A December vote to purchase 2 new portable buildings for the campus was then rescinded in February, and in April moved to use the funding for athletic facilities. Furniture and computer devices were shut down after board members expressed concerns about spending money on dugouts and a concession stand. At a later April meeting, the board approved dedicating $120,000 of the USDA funds toward portable desks, teacher desks, laptops, and Chromebooks that will allow Cassidy to convert non-traditional spaces in the school into rotating classroom spaces. Here's how the remaining USDA funds were allocated at the October 14th meeting. Concrete outdoor covered area along with outdoor furniture to accommodate increased student population at lunch, 183,000. Additional Chromebooks, 400 to address increased student enrollment, 172,388. Additional laptops, 20 for increased number of teachers, 19,780. Additional tie graphing calculators, 20 sets of 10 to address increased student enrollment, 65,640. Electrical panel box replace temporary service powering irrigation system and include athletic field, 74,000, and a contingency fund of $48,336. Okay, let's see. Let's go ahead, and we have others. We have the rest, most of our stories that we have left this morning are state stories. So let's go ahead and, well, I have one more Lafayette story I'll read about. Scooting back in for leisure scooters in Lafayette, a mulligan and questions yet to be answered by Ben Myers. Staff writer. Electric scooters are heading back to Lafayette 2 years after vendors suddenly dropped hundreds of their rentable vehicles on city streets and sidewalks in an unregulated free-for-all that led to a local ban. But this time, the city parish officials and at least one vendor are collaborating on an operating framework to prevent a repeat of late 2018 and early 2019 when the rented scooters were randomly strewn about town on a nightly basis. Key details about the use of shared mobility devices are yet to be determined, and it's not clear when they will become available. It's really kind of high in the sky right now. We've got all these ideas floating up there, and now we need to start deciding which ones we are going to pull down and put into practice, said Mary Slyman, the City Parish Development Director, who's heading up the new SMD Management Committee. The former City Parish Council banned electric scooters in 2019 amid outcry for pedestrian safety and obstructions to rights of way. Riders entered the scooters at all hours, let them wherever they pleased, and zoomed in and out of downtown sidewalk traffic. The scooters appeared overnight in sudden fashion, with vendors not consulting city parish officials beforehand. Last time it was a total mess, said Anita Begnow, CEO of the Downtown Development Authority. When these scooters are riding down the sidewalks, there are businesses whose doors are literally open onto the sidewalk. Still, many saw promise in the new mode of public transportation, assuming it could be provided in an orderly fashion. Some downtown business owners saw increased sales, with the scooters encouraging more people willing to visit more than one establishment on a night out, Begno said. City and parish councils rescinded the ban in July, replacing it with an ordinance meant to establish rules for operating electric scooters and bicycles. Under the new ordinance, vendors apply for permits and pay a per-vehicle annual permit of $120, which was reduced in the final version from $175 in an early draft. Slyman says she did not know why the fee was reduced. Additional queries to the administration legal department were not answered. The ordinance also limits operation hours from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and requires parking in designated areas. Riders are not allowed to interfere with any sidewalk traffic, and riding on downtown sidewalks is prohibited altogether. Violations can result in permit revocation and impoundment. But it is unclear how violations will be reported or how the downtown sidewalk ban can be enforced. Parking areas, usage boundaries, and other key details are left to the seven-member management committee, which represents City Parish Administration, Lafayette Police, the University of Louisiana at Lafayette, and the Downtown Development Authority. We are kind of getting the mulligan, and we shouldn't miss the opportunity to set a stronger foundation, Begno said. There's a lack of trust because of how things were managed the last time. It's on the vendors to prove how they are going to operate differently than they did in the past. At least one vendor, Bird, seems to be taking a different approach by working with the city parish to set up a program that is mutually beneficial. A Bird representative attended the committee's meeting on October 7th as the committee and other community members contemplated the scope of the program. A transportation planner in Fort Collins, Colorado, where Bird won an exclusive contract as part of a pilot program, so the company has worked well with the city. They are looking for every way possible to accommodate our request while still trying to maintain their bottom line, said Amanda Mansfield, the Fort Collins transportation planner. This is an important market to them, and they act like it. They listen and do what we ask. One of the Lafayette Committee's first objectives is to set up geographic boundaries where scooters and other shared mobility devices, such as electric bicycles, can operate. Vendors typically ensure riders adhere to these boundaries with geofencing technology, which uses GPS to control operability and speed depending on location. But geofencing depends on GPS accuracy, which may be good enough to generally keep riders out of certain geographic areas, but is less reliable for precise distinctions between, for example, streets and sidewalks. No operator has been able to do that. I definitely want to caution you, said the Bird representative, Servando Esperanza, addressing committee members. In an interview, Esperanza said riders tend to follow clearly stated rules, which he said Bird would consistently enforce through its user app. Additionally, Bird is open to helping pay for signage and other expenses related to the company's services, he said. We have a program in Miami where part of the fees go into bike lanes. They are putting that money to use, as Peraza said. It really is up to the city. Another open question is the number of scooters that are appropriate for Lafayette. As Peraza said, the committee that Bird deployed between 250 and 300 scooters in Lafayette 2 years ago. He said he was not with the company at that time and does not know how the fleet size was determined. As Peraza recommended a flexible approach that allows city parish officials to adjust up or down as needed. He said Miami requires devices to average 3 rides per day before allowing vendors to expand their fleets. In Fort Collins, which is comparable in population to Lafayette and also home to Colorado State University, officials monitor demand by observing parking stations to attract the highest use. Riders are required to take photos of the parked vehicles after each use, said Mansfield, the Fort Collins transportation planner. At the same time, Mansfield said the city also tries to ensure that stations are distributed with an interest and equity in providing access to the community and not just in the downtown and college area. I don't think there should be an arbitrary max fleet size. I think our focus and people's focus in general should be what are you going to see on the ground, Mansfield said. Fort Collins will likely continue working with an exclusive vendor after a new request for proposals is issued next year, she said. The arrangement is more enticing for vendors, she said, and it's also easier for the city to manage. Multiple vendors could create a Wild West competitive atmosphere, she said. We didn't want to be in a situation while we were trying to discipline companies for doing things outside what they were allowed to do, just to get a leg up, she said. Exclusivity is not contemplated in the new ordinance in Lafayette, where patience for any bad behavior or part of the vendors is already limited. People have not forgotten how bad it was the last time around, Begnaud said. It's on the vendors to prove how they're going to operate differently than they did in the past. Okay, it's just a little bit past our half-hour mark in our broadcast this morning, so we will go to our day in history. Today is Friday, October 23rd. It's the 297th day of 2020, and there are potentially 69 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history on October 23rd, 1983, 241 U.S. service members, most of the Marines, were killed in a suicide truck bombing at Beirut International Airport in Lebanon. A near simultaneous attack on French forces killed 58 paratroopers. Also on the state in 1864, forces led by Union Major General Samuel R. Curtis repelled Confederate Major General Sterling Price's army in the Civil War Battle of Westport in Missouri. In 1910, Blanche S. Scott became the first woman to make a public solo airplane flight reaching an altitude of 12 feet at a park in Fort Wayne, Indiana. In 1915, tens of thousands of women paraded up Fifth Avenue in New York City demanding the right to vote. In 1941, the Walt Disney animated feature Dumbo about a young circus elephant who learns how to fly premiered in New York. In 1944, the World War II Battle of Lake Gulf began, resulting in a major Allied victory against Japanese forces. In 1973, President Richard Nixon agreed to turn over the White House tape recordings subpoenaed by the Watergate Special Prosecutor to Judge John G. Sirkin. In 1995, a jury in Houston convicted Yolanda Zaldivar of murdering Tejano singing star Selena. Zaldivar is serving a life prison sentence. Also on this date in 2009, President Barack Obama declared the swine flu outbreak as a national emergency, giving his health chief the power to let hospitals move emergency rooms off-site to speed treatment and protect non-infected patients. In 2014, officials announced that an emergency room doctor who recently returned to New York City after treating Ebola patients in West Africa tested positive for the virus, becoming the first case in the city and the fourth in the nation. Dr. Craig Spencer later recovered. 10 years ago today, the world's leading advanced and emerging countries vowed during a meeting in South Korea to avoid potentially debilitating currency devaluations aiming to quell trade tensions that could threaten the global recovery. 5 years ago, Hurricane Patricia roared ashore in a sparsely populated area of southwestern Mexico as a Category 5 storm, then quickly abated to a tropical storm. A bus carrying retirees on a day trip to southwest France from the wine region hit a truck and went up in flames, killing 43 people. 1 year ago today, Republicans briefly brought the Democratic-led impeachment investigation to a halt when around 24 GOP House members stormed into a closed-door deposition with a Defense Department official. Today's birthday, movie director Philip Kaufman is 84. Soccer great Pele is 80 years old today. Rhythm and blues singer Barbara Ann Hawkins from the Dixie Cups is 77. Actor or movie director Ang Lee is 66. Jazz singer Diane Reeves is 64. Country singer Dwight Yoakam, 64 today as well. Community activist Martin Luther King III is 63. Movie director Sam Raimi is 61. Weird Al Yankovic is 61 years old today. Go Weird Al. Christian singer David Thomas from Take 6 is 54. Rock musician Brian Nevin from Big Head Todd and Monsters is 54. Country singer musician Junior Bryant is 52. And CNN medical reporter Dr. Sanjay Gupta is 51. Rock singer Matthew Schultz from Cage the Elephant is 37. And rhythm and blues singer Miguel is 35. Looking at the zodiac or the horoscope, as I like to refer to it as, if you're a Libra, work on self-improvement and let others fend for themselves. Avoid demanding situations and arguments. Take precautions to maintain a healthy immune system. Scorpios, travel down the information highway, gather facts, take care of unfinished businesses, and plan for the future. Stop procrastinating. An unexpected visit will be eye-opening. Sagittarius, beware of anyone asking too many questions about your past. Being a little mysterious will play out in your favor when you face competition. Physical fitness will help you maintain good health. Capricorn, deal with friends, relatives, and colleagues carefully. Don't let your emotions lead to poor decisions. A change may be overdue, but that doesn't mean you should make it now. Aquarius, mull over your thoughts and feelings, but don't be too quick to share your plans. A change someone makes will be revealing. Spend time clearing out mental, physical, and emotional clutter. Pisces, you may think you know what's best for you, but before you take a risk, consider repercussions. Overdoing it will result in setbacks. Play it safe. Aries, refuse to let the past infiltrate the present. A meaningful relationship will abruptly change if you say something insensitive. Concentrate on something that will benefit you as well as others. Taurus, an emotional incident could interfere with your productivity. Say less and do more. How you handle your friends, colleagues, and loved ones will determine how much respect you receive. Gemini, take care of what you have worked so hard to achieve. Offering your services to a cause will be enlightening. Refuse to let criticism daunt you. Stand up for your beliefs. Cancers, your heart is in the right place, but if you are too generous, someone is likely to take advantage of you. An important relationship needs some tender, loving care. Leo, physical activities and hard work will help you stay out of trouble and avoid arguments by keeping your opinions to yourself. Stay focused and take care of business. Virgos, my birth sign. Take your ideas to the next level. Discuss your plans with someone who can help you reach your objective. Sharing a hobby with a loved one will improve the relationship. And as we always say on this broadcast, a horoscope is an entertainment feature not based on scientific fact. In the funerals today in the Acadiana area, David LaBarbere, St. John the Evangelist at 3 p.m., Ida Mallet, St. Francis Regis Catholic Church in Arnoldville at 2 p.m., Mary Touche at Martin Castile Funeral Home Scott at 1 p.m., Broussard at Walker, Louisiana Funeral Services and Crematory, 108 Hardware Road at Broussard at 2 p.m., and Robert Walker, St. Joseph Catholic Church, 604 St. Joseph Ave in Iota at 11 a.m. Okay, let's just deal with one more PSA before we, a couple more. On-street reserved downtown parking in Lafayette will be available at no cost for early voters from last Friday, October 16th through October 27th. Parking meters will be clearly marked with the early voter parking only signage in the following areas: Wisconsin Street between Buchanan Street and Lafayette Street across from First Baptist School, Lafayette Street between Corbin Street and Barry Street across from First Baptist School and in front of the Alexander Mouton House. These designated parking spots are intended for short-term parking for early voters only who are casting ballots at the Registrar of Voters Office at 1010 Lafayette Street. Early voting runs through Tuesday, October 27th, with the exception of this coming Sunday, or last Sunday, October 18th, and this coming Sunday, October 25th, from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Okay, getting back, I do have one more I'd like to read about the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra. They're having their next virtual performance this evening. It is entitled Triumph, and it will be this evening, October 23rd at 2020. And you can go to their website. The Acadiana Symphony Orchestra will be virtually performing their next performance this evening. I believe it starts at 7 p.m., so check it out. Okay, getting back into our news. Edwards allows more fan attendance. Some parishes can expand high school seating capacity to 50% by Sam Carlin, staff writer. As a legislative session aimed in part at curbing Governor John Bell Edwards' coronavirus rules winds down, the Democratic governor on Thursday said he was granting a request from Republican legislative leaders to allow some high schools to welcome more fans into the stadiums for football games and other outdoor events. Edwards' move lets parishes expand capacity at stadiums from 25 to 50% if they meet the same threshold for coronavirus cases that decides when bars can reopen in certain areas. It takes effect Friday, today, in 26 parishes, including East Baton Rouge, Orleans, Jefferson, and Lafayette, though New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell will continue to stick with 25 capacity for now. A day before the governor's decision, lawmakers narrowly passed a bill to curb some of Edwards' power to ensure emergency rules and to give the legislature more say over things like coronavirus rules. Republicans in the state capitol widely believe the bill by Representative Mark Wright, Republican from Covington, will be met with a veto from the governor, who has said publicly he won't acquiesce to any reduction in his power to issue executive orders during emergencies. The governor said this week he hasn't made a decision on the bill. Starting Friday, parishes can allow the 50% capacity in high school sporting events if they see a percent positivity rate of COVID-19 cases of under 5% for 2 weeks. They will be required to ratchet restrictions back up to 25% again if that metric exceeds 10% for 2 weeks. That is the same threshold bars must meet to reopen, and it is based on the number of COVID-19 tests coming back positive. Edwards said 26 parishes meet that threshold as of this week and will be allowed to have 50% capacity at outdoor sporting events starting Friday. If Edwards vetoes House Bill 4 by right to curb his emergency powers, it will leave Republican lawmakers without many options to roll back the state's coronavirus restrictions, which are backed by the White House, state health department officials, and several top public health experts in Louisiana. Okay? And moving on. A plan for federal school funds, okay. Money dedicated to okay, read that story. Sorry about that. I'm just kind of moving around the column of stories here. Our next story is a one dead from new opioid in Jefferson Parish by Carly Colette Wells and Emily Woodruff, staff writers. Jefferson Parish officials have reported the first death in Louisiana linked to a new drug commonly called purple heroin, which is cited to appear in other cities across the U.S. Jefferson Parish coroner, Dr. Jerry Septanovich, said a death occurred in the parish linked to the drug, according to a statement released Thursday morning. He didn't release any additional information about who died or what happened, but warned that the new drug has potential to cause widespread harm. About 30 deaths linked to purple heroin have been reported in the U.S., he said. The ingredients of purple heroin can vary, but a common ingredient is rofephine, a synthetic opioid similar in strength to fentanyl that isn't currently authorized for any medical uses nor easily discernible in normal hospital blood tests. The drug was first cited in a scientific report in 2018, according to information by the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration. Much like fentanyl, the end user on the street rarely is deliberately seeking it out. When you are a user, the potency of what you buy, you really have no idea until you inject. And when you get a batch that has more in it, unbeknownst to you, that's when a lot of overdose happen, cited Dr. Joe Cantor. Purple heroin is commonly packaged as a purple canister, crystal, or powder, but has also been seen as a gray or white powder, Sitanovich said. In the Jefferson Parish case, the purple heroin was possibly mixed with methamphetamine. The deceased individuals was positive for both drugs. West Baton Rouge solar farm powers thousands. Project near Port Allen went online this week by Youssef Radad, staff writer. A West Baton Rouge power solar farm capable of supplying thousands of homes, but power was plugged into the capital's region's electrical grid as it began operating this week. Construction crews for months have planted nearly 200,000 solar panels and constructing Capital Region Solar, a nearly 600-acre facility built on a former sugar cane field near Port Allen. The farm generates 50 megawatts of energy, which is the equivalent daily demands to power 9,600 homes, and is now stitched into the power grid for Entergy customers across Louisiana. Its completion is part of a broader effort by Entergy to create more renewable options in the state. Entergy Louisiana CEO and President Philip May said in a statement announcing the solar farm was online. Capital Region Solar is the largest addition to what we envision to be a growing portfolio of clean energy resources serving our customers, May said. We are committed to delivering clean, reliable, and affordable energy to our communities, and this project helps us do just that. As similar 20 megawatt power plant at NASA's Michaud assembly site in New Orleans is also under construction and expected to be completed by year's end. 30% more energy. Entergy Louisiana is buying power the farm generates under a 20-year agreement with Helios Infrastructure, a joint venture between Ohio-based finance and insurance firm Nationwide and Washington, D.C.-based solar firm Solar Systems. This landmark project for Louisiana sets the bar for the triple bottom line benefits of sustainable infrastructure, a joint venture between Ohio-based finance and insurance firm Nationwide and Washington, D.C.-based solar firm Solar Systems. Capital Region Solar will add about $6.4 million in tax revenue in the next 30 years, and the project created some construction, 350 jobs, according to project planners. 4 full-time employees will also be stationed at the site. Pool Corporation posts record sales again by Timothy Boone, staff writer. Pool Corporation said it set a company record for quarterly sales as it saw its third quarter earnings jump to $119.1 million, or $2.92 per share. That compares to $79.5 million, or $1.95 per share the company earned in third quarter of 2019. Quarterly earnings were boosted by $8.5 million, or 21 cents per share, due to an update in accounting standards. The Covington-based wholesale distributor of swimming pool equipment and supplies said it capitalized on the demand for safe, stay-at-home activities that have been generated by the coronavirus pandemic. Net sales rose to $1.1 billion in the third quarter, a 27% increase from the $898.5 million in 2019. Pool Corporation had second quarter net sales of almost $1.3 billion, which was up from $1.1 billion the year before. Okay, looking at some of these sports stories and throughout the area, starting with Tall Task. Cajuns fall first loss of season with a rugged road test against Athletic, UAB by Kevin Foote, staff writer. It's one thing to lose your first game of the season. It's another then to be facing possibly your toughest test of the season the next week. That's the situation the ULH Cajuns find themselves in, traveling to meet the UAB Blazers at 7 p.m. today, Friday, at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. They've got really good personnel. They've done a really good job of evaluating and recruiting height, length, and speed, and they've got explosive players, UL coach Billy Napier said. They've got an identity in all three phases, a very well-coached group. It's no wonder they've been picked to win their league. Napier's Cajuns are 3-1 overall and 2-1 in Sun Belt play. All the Blazers are 4-1 with one loss in Miami and 2-0 in Conference USA. Making the challenge greater is UAB is riding a 21-game home winning streak. This is a very talented group, and a group that I think has gotten better each week that the season has gone on, Napier said. On paper, the biggest concern is the Blazers' defense. I asked this week what concerns him about UAB's defense. Napier wasn't very specific. Everything, he said. Looking at the numbers, it's hard to argue with that assessment. Opposing offenses have only converted 6 of the last 37 attempts on third down. In the last 3 games, UAB is only allowing 12.3 points a game. The Blazers are 17th overall in total defense, 9th with 15 sacks, 3rd in passing defense, and 10th in tackles for losses. This is one of the best defensive teams in the entire country, Napier said. Top 20 last year in total in scoring defense, good at every level. They've got NFL players, tremendous length on the edge. The 2-edge players are 6'6" plus. They've got 4 or 5 defensive linemen that are exceptional. Their linebackers are athletic. They're good communicators. They're very precise in what they do. They can test almost every throw on the perimeter. They play a lot of press coverage. They also have variables in the back end and in the front to go along with a lot of pressure. Despite coming off its first loss, UL's offense must be equipped to handle that caliber of a defense. Napier said his offensive line and wide receiver played their best game of the season in the 30-27 loss to Coastal Carolina. I think we'll take a step forward up front on offense, Napier said. I thought our receivers took a step forward. Those are the 2 positions where we've had some inconsistency in our lineups, been a little bit of a revolving door, so having some opportunity or continuity there going forward will help us get healthy. Overall, we did a lot of things well. We turned the ball over and they didn't. We played a little bit better on third down than we did. I think the kicking game was a scratch, but overall, a very evenly matched and very competitive game. The matchup also features 2 of the most accomplished running backs in the nation, and UAB senior Spencer Brown with 3,594 career yards, and UL's Trey Regos with 3,034 yards. Okay, and that game, UAB is tonight at 7 p.m. and it will be on the CBS Sports Network on TV. And on radio, you can find the broadcast at KHXT-FM 107.8 and KPEL AM at 1420. Again, that game starts at 7 p.m. Eyes on the prize, Cajuns must maintain focus to prevail in tough matchup versus Blazers. And we've kind of already talked about that a little bit. So we'll go to the next sports story, which is STM Westgate seek redemption. Cougars tried to avenge last season's loss to Tigers, who are trying to recover from season opening defeat to New Iberia. by Kevin Foote, staff writer and sports writer. Both coaches still have losses on their minds. One freely admits it, the other not as much. For Westgate coach Ryan Antoine, a road upset on St. Thomas More in Friday's 7 p.m. District 5-4A game at Cougar Stadium would ease the pain of his Tigers' 27-25 season opening loss to crosstown rival New Iberia. It's been all right, Antoine said. I'm still kind of frustrated from dropping the first week game. We kind of feel like we didn't execute and kind of missed out on a couple things. And we've been able to come back and play 2 good games since then. St. Thomas More coach Jim Hightower, meanwhile, is hoping his undefeated Cougars can gain redemption for the second straight week against Westgate. Last week, his Cougars entered a 5-year losing streak to Catholic of Baton Rouge in a dramatic 39-38 win. And it's now 9:56, which means our broadcast ends at our local TV stations, but you can still hear this morning's broadcast at our online streaming service at Cypress Street Radio, at CYPRESS Street Radio. Go to that page, click on the play button, or go to our YouTube station, AOC Community Media. And let's see, we'll wrap it up with another sports story. Talented Acadiana defense flourishing by Nick Montanoy, contributing writer. The Acadiana high school defense is loaded with playmakers, and the state is taking note of what might be the Wrecking Ram's strongest defense in years. Acadiana defensive coordinator Kyle Siebold said it's about as much fun as he's had coaching during his career. It's rare that you come across a defense that has the skill and speed and playmakers we have this year, as Siebold said. Most defensive coordinators don't get an opportunity to coach defense that has this type of potential. It's been fun to coach these type of guys. The defense is loaded with familiar names like Derek Bercier, Cameron George, Ian Monson, Terrence Welch. Last Friday against Southside, another name emerged as a budding superstar in Walter Bob. Bob had 3 solo tackles, 4 assists, 2 sacks, 4 hurries, and Acadiana's 48-7 over Southside. Siebold said he's not sure why Bob isn't more known, but he says he knows the attention is coming for the 6'4", 230-pound junior. And I think that about wraps it up. Yeah, that about wraps it up for today. Well, thank you for tuning in. We provide local news live, a broadcast for our visually impaired audience and for our community members who don't have access to a newspaper or the news cycle. We do this every Monday through Friday morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We appreciate you tuning in and listening to our broadcast. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer reader, go to our website, aocinc.org, pull down the volunteer page, fill in the form, and we'll go to our wonderful Mandy, who will then instruct you how the program works, put you in chat with somebody like maybe myself to see how we do the news every morning. Actually, we're doing it from our home studios since the pandemic hit. Hopefully, we'll get back into the AOC podcast booth at some point. But for right now, I'm happy to do it from my home as often as I can, every Monday through Friday with additional newspaper readers. Again, thank you for tuning in. This is Bruce Cohen, will always be Bruce Cohen, and I say to you, be safe, be healthy, and be smart, folks. Continue to stop the spread. Wear your mask when you're in public and you don't know the people that you're around unless you've quarantined with them. Take all the protocols, wash your hands, do everything necessary. We're trying to gear up and get back to some sort of a normal life, but we still need to always be smart. Be smart and take precautions. As always, I say at the end of my broadcast, be kind to each other and have a great day.